Hey guys, what is up? So today I have some minimalist lifestyle tips for you and 5 questions that you need to ask yourself before you even begin to minimize your home. And so I'm going to show you how minimalism can help you to do more with less, and it's also going to help you to reduce your anxiety naturally at home. So I know you'll still have so many questions afterwards though, because this is just the start of this part of your journey. So be sure to stay until the end and I'll share with you how to continue to next steps of the process. Make sure you click the bell icon to subscribe to the channel, and that's going to allow you to get notified each Thursday when new episodes arrive for your convenience. So you may be wondering, how does all this fit into my talks about mental health and the mindset piece that I primarily talk about? Well, one thing that you may not realize is that I did something called the World Race a couple years ago, and that is a trip to 11 countries over 11 months. And I travel frequently, and I definitely call myself a minimalist because I see that anytime I have a simplified environment, I really feel much more relaxed and much more free in my environment. And I also find it easier to locate things, and that decreases my anxiety. I'm not surrounded by a lot of unfinished tasks either. So it really helps to free your mind, and it's actually so important that it's actually part of my 5-month program, so that I devote a whole entire month to this because it was so pivotal in my mindset and my mental health when I was recovering from some depression and anxiety and suicidal behaviors in the past. So it is hugely important. So I'm going to jump right in with the specific 5 questions that you need to be asking yourself before you even begin to clear out your home. So these questions will set the foundation. And the first one is, drumroll please, why are you doing it? What is your whole picture? So this really needs to be set in the beginning because you're going to identify, do you need to pay off debt? Do you need to alleviate anxiety? Do you need to let go of the past? Are you wanting to travel more? Are you wanting to have a home office and you want to have a clear mind as you're doing it? What is your original intention behind all of this? Because as you clear out, you'll start to face these difficult decisions, and you'll see all these things and you're like, maybe I can hold on to it. Maybe I can hold on to it. But if you keep that clear vision and that clear focus of, no, I'm doing this for a reason, I have this goal in mind, it makes it that much easier to just be like, actually, no, it's really not as important to me as that goal that I have. So it makes the decision-making process much easier to be able to say yes or no. And just as an example of that, I moved 5 times within a short span of time here in Garden City. You know, we got married and a few different things changed, and so I was moving between a couple different places here in Garden City, and it finally got to the 5th time that I had to move, and I was like, I am not dragging these boxes with me to another place. I have not opened them since we moved from the last place. They're actually still in their boxes, and I hadn't done anything with them. And it was at that moment I realized I needed to completely go through everything and just get rid of all of it. And I was amazed at how freeing that was for my mind and how relaxed I felt afterwards. And like I said, I could find everything for once. So identify what your why is. What is your purpose behind this? And adopt this. And to adopt this to yourself, really think about getting a picture, or maybe just writing out your why and saying, you know, this is my goal, this is my objective, and putting it in a place where you're going to see it most frequently. I recommend this with any goals because, you know, we can have great goals, we can have a good idea, but then, you know, life starts to happen and we kind of put that to the wayside. So if you put it in a place where you see it frequently, it's going to be that constant reminder of why you're doing this and why you're sticking with it. So at this time, go ahead and actually comment below, and I want you to share with me, what are your reasons for simplifying your home? Why is this important to you? I'd really love to hear them, because I'm sure there are going to be a variety of answers to that. Question number 2, what are you willing to sacrifice to make sure that this really happens for you, and to make sure that you really reach that goal? So this can actually be really hard, because we hate to let go of keepsakes. We hate to let go of gifts from other people, and we feel guilty about letting it go. So it's like, oh, this person gave it to me. What if they notice it's missing? Nobody ever notices that it's missing. I'm just going to tell you that. But remember that in order to live more fully in this moment, we need to let go of the past. It's in the past. It's done. What really matters is going to be this goal that you're working towards. So is that financial freedom? Is it freedom to be able to spend more time or more comfortable time with the people that are around you and your relationships? Is it to be able to travel more and have less belongings holding you down somewhere? So keeping that objective in mind, and then saying, what am I willing to sacrifice to make sure that this happens? And in that way, keeping that question, this is one that's going to be just constantly at the forefront of your mind to keep in mind. You may even write it under your why that's posted to your mirror. So if this is not done, then we really accept the average, and we really miss out on the greatness that can come along if we just allow it to. So you're like, oh, I want to hold on to all these things. I like these things. I like these things. But it could be so much greater if you released it. You could have so much more joy in your life just releasing it, letting it go, and breathing, and being able to live in that space rather than feeling bogged down by so much stuff. I had a friend, for example, and she was moving into an RV with her husband, and I was helping her to go through her stuff and clean out her belongings, and she was struggling with some things because they'd been gifts to others, and then gifts from others, and then she was also really wanting to hold on to it and remember the memory. And one of the things that we talked about was you can also take a picture of it at that time, and that's going to help you to release it and feel okay with giving it away, or give it to somebody that you think would really appreciate it or actually really needs it. That's a good way of paying it forward or passing on that gift. And, some people have a negative view of that. They're like, oh, you're regifting it. That's, not good. But actually, it's something that if it was a gift and it could better serve somebody else, why not? Why not support somebody else and help them and pay it forward in that way? So the third question, this one is, what is the smaller picture? What do you want to do with each of the rooms in your house? And what I mean by this is really focusing on having one intention or one focus of each of the rooms in your house, and then the belongings within that. So for instance, your cleaners, having one location in your house where all your cleaners are, having one location where all your clothes are. Because when we spread them out to all different rooms of the house, and we're like, oh, it's, I needed it here, and oh, I needed it here. If you have it spread out, you may not realize that you're actually duplicating a lot of the same things. And by connecting them all and putting them all in the same place, it's going to save you a lot of money. It's going to save you a lot of time and confusion and spending money on things that you already have. So trying to simplify it down to, we have one small box where we have all of our electronics. And I know what each of those electronics do. And if I didn't, then I would put a tag on it or something if I wasn't sure. But for the most part, you can tell. But anyway, so we have a small box for electronics, and for each of our belongings, it's just a small contained area, and that's going to help you to narrow it down and really simplify that area. And question 4. So question 4 is, what is your style? So there are some of you that are like, I want to jump in and I want to tackle it head on, and I'm going to tackle the biggest, most difficult section first. And then very quickly you burn out and you stop doing it. And that's where the problem lies. So while some of you, yes, if it's a big area that you can tackle but doesn't have a whole lot of connection or sentimental value, I'd say go for it. That may be something that you could tackle and feel good about, because then once that big area is knocked out, okay, everything else can kind of it'll happen. So if it's a big area but you're like sentimental about it too, I would definitely suggest just waiting until the end. My own process, and the process that I most recommend, I would say at this point, is to do baby steps and to focus on one area at a time. And like I said, collecting it from wherever it is in the house, simplifying that area and moving on from there. So choosing a specific room, tackling one area at a time. Because what you'll see is that when you attack those easy areas first, it's really going to be much easier to jump into those harder ones, because you develop a certain criteria, which I'll get into, about what system you need to use for those items. So then when it gets to the more difficult areas, then your mind is already asking yourself those questions, and it can more easily follow suit. So it's going to be a bit simpler and easier for you. So I think that's pretty much everything on that one. And in doing this, it's like I said, I just see so many people just burn out when they use the big area first, and they try to do that area first, but it's definitely up to you. I'm always more for, if it feels good to you, it feels right to you, then own that and go with it. But I'm also gonna recommend from experience that I'd suggest doing smaller doses so that you can really get the hang of it before jumping in. Question 5 to ask yourself is, what is the criteria for keeping or releasing your belongings? And now you know the reason behind why you're developing a minimalist lifestyle. You know why you're trying to simplify it. You know where you want to tackle first. Now it comes down to the criteria that's going to help you to discern what you keep and what you don't keep. So you're creating this plan, and questions that you may want to ask yourself for criteria's sake. So I know I gave you 5 questions, and now I'm going to give you like sub-questions. So have I used it in the last year? Have I used it in the last 3 months? Does it bring me joy? Has it served its purpose? Does it support my goals in the future? Will anyone miss it? Husband. Is this something that I could share with someone else and it'll save us both time and money? This may be something like when you have a grill in the backyard or something and you only use it a couple times a year, the neighbor only uses it a couple of times a year, so why the heck not share it? So a lot of times we're so independent, and especially as Americans, we're like, I got this, I do my own thing. But there is so much benefit to communal living where you actually get to share some of these things. You don't need to buy an entire new saw when you have one small project to do. You could just borrow it from a friend, or try to do this more reciprocity with neighbors and those kind of things, because that's going to really foster a good community, which will be very beneficial as well. And, we all need connection. We need community. And sometimes we try to do stuff so much on our own. Anyway, going off on a tangent. So asking yourself these questions: have I used it in the last year, last 3 months? Does it bring me joy? This is going to help you to develop that criteria and decide whether you should hold on to it or not. So if we don't follow this guideline, then we're going to make a reason or an excuse for keeping it when really we need to let go of it. So definitely now you have that why, now you have the major goals, now you're creating the criteria for meeting those goals. And one of my rules, for instance, is also, I used all these rules, so all these questions that I just asked you, but one of my rules is, if it doesn't fit in my drawer, something needs to go. And I say this because I can look at that drawer and I can say, but it all brings me joy. I like all these clothes. I wear all these clothes. But if they don't fit in my drawer, I'm not happy. And that does not bring me joy. So the priority, I guess, that outweighs the other priorities, or the rule for me, is if it doesn't fit in the drawer nicely, I can narrow it down some more. I don't go through all of those clothes that frequently. I can really simplify it. even more. So those kind of rules can help you to decide what you keep and what goes. And then as a bonus tip, when you are starting to clean out and you are trying to get some ideas and some inspiration, I would definitely suggest watching a documentary or watching some shows that are related to cleaning out your home. And I say this because so many people lately have been talking to me about certain shows, a certain show or a certain documentary, and I'll list those in the comments section. And what they do is they watch that show and they follow it, and then they're like, I want to clean my house. I want to do that to my house. And they get all excited and they just jump on board. And so if you're looking for some inspiration, something to keep you going, I even use this myself, even as an experienced minimalist, because then I'm watching it and I'm listening to it and I'm like trying to decide, and then I hear her say something and I'm like, you. So like I said, after the first question, please comment below with why you really want to simplify your home. What is it that you are trying to accomplish? Next, if you are realizing though that your environment is not just what needs to be changed. So many of us, we dive into our environment and then we're like, wait, I still got a lot more deeper work to do than this. And so if you're struggling with any kind of really troublesome habits, if you're struggling with relationships and how to communicate with others, if you're struggling with nutrition and fitness, these are all things that I address in one of the master classes that I'm offering at this time. And I'd love to have you in there to share how to really simply and completely overhaul your lifestyle. So this one is about a small factor of that, but this will help you to really set those things in motion for each of those different areas. So visit the link in the comment section to make sure that you get in on the next session. As always, stay strong and never lose sight of yourself in the service of others. And if you like this episode, give me a like below, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz, and then come back again next week. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you soon.